Thursday night or Friday. Thank you.
Chair Dambly, I have a question also about this committee report. Thank you, Chris. This is in reference to the discussion of expectations of memberships and developing sanctions and punishments for violations of expectation of memberships. And I have several concerns about this. This is a very delicate set of issues. I think it's fair to say that we have some honest differences on our board regarding what does it mean to be a good trustee. And I'm very concerned about the idea that we might decide to start adjudicating those differences. Going down this road presents the danger of opening ourselves up to politically motivated witch hunts. So I question whether we should do this at all. But even more concerning to me is the process that is being used to develop this discussion. Good process is an integral part of good governance. Good decisions are made on the basis of a good, open, and fair process. But it's worrisome to me that this work was begun in secrecy. At the November meeting, Committee Chair David Hahn took his committee into executive session and asked trustees in the room who were not on the committee to leave. It's hard for me to understand what's a good justification for conducting this initial discussion of a sensitive matter in secrecy. Since November, there's been preliminary work done by an ad hoc group. There were discussions. There was apparently a draft circulated. We learned in the meeting yesterday that some members of the governance committee were not even aware that this was happening. These are big red flags for me. I believe strongly that trustees should not withhold information from other trustees. We talk on this board about increasing transparency. We talk on this board about increasing trust. And I'm sure we can all understand that when matters of this sensitivity and potential contentiousness are done in secret, that does not accomplish those priorities. Trustee Hahn, are you still with us on the phone?
Yeah.
Excellent, thank you. So first I want to thank you because many times you've encouraged me to bring my concerns about matters concerning your committee to the full board so that we can discuss them together. So I appreciate that encouragement. And I'm hoping you can reassure me. Can you explain to me why it was that this work needed to be done apart from most trustees on the board when you took your committee to executive session in November?
There was no work done in that executive session. The purpose was to discuss this topic with the advice and counsel of our legal counsel, and there was no work product from that executive session. So there was really nothing done at that time.
Yeah, so I'd just like to jump in. Just one second, please, Alice. First, we greatly appreciate your perspective and respect it. What I don't appreciate is your mischaracterization of our conversations yesterday. Okay, this whole secrecy and punishment and political. We were very, very open. We all walked away with a good feeling and a commitment to have a robust discussion as a board in its entirety. So your characterizations and implications of secrecy and cloak and dagger, it's just not true. It's not about punishment. It's not about politics. It's about expectations of membership and being consequences for those who don't abide by them. And we talked about being careful about it not being in the characterization that you had. So we brought it up, and we're very, very clear about that. So, we agreed to have an open conversation. I think we agreed together that we would have that discussion. And your characterization of that meeting is just wrong. And it's unfair, and it's not in the spirit in which we had that conversation, where people contributed in an appropriate way what their concerns were, what their feelings were, and that we would try and address them. And maybe we'll come up with an answer, and maybe we won't. But your accusations and characterizations are inaccurate and inappropriate and not indicative of the conversation that we had, which was constructive and healthy. And we also pointed out that there were conversations, and I know, Alice, for a fact that you have lots of conversations with other trustees, as do I. And so there were bantering about different concepts of what those consequences may be. And there weren't documents flying around. It's just not, it's not true. It's not secrecy here. I pledge to have a full, open conversation about it in executive session with the full board that Bill appropriately brought up.
I
Yes,
do appreciate that.
Mr. Brown.
And the conversation yesterday was open and constructive. I did not personally leave with a good feeling. I left with concerns about the way that the work began in November, and that's my honest perspective, and I share that with the board so that we can work through these things together.
Well, working through together, when you come out and characterize it as penal, political, backroom dealings, that's not the way you begin a conversation that's open and productive, okay?
We'll agree to disagree.
Fine. Yes, Mr. Brown.
I just want to clarify something because I was one of the trustees that was asked to leave by Chairman Hahn without any explanation then or since as to why I was asked to leave. I was not the only one, so I don't take it personally. All trustees that were not in the committee were asked to leave, and we still have no explanation why we were asked to leave. The chairman just a moment ago said what was done after we left, but I still don't know why we were asked to leave.
It's at the chairman's discretion of each committee whether or not in executive session he wants non-members of the committee to participate. Maybe David felt at that time that he wanted to have a conversation with council, which is what I just think he said. I think we should, accept that that's what happened, accept that we had a really good conversation, whether Alice agrees with it or not, about the concept of expectations of membership and that there be consequences that are even and treat everybody fairly and don't encroach inappropriately on people's rights. And we may come up with a resolution, we may not. But I agreed to have an open conversation about it. And I think folks are going to come with good ideas, and we'll see where it goes.